So I think we can start. Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for joining our today's session under the framework of the Exceed Upskilling Program for VET professionals. Thank you very much for joining after some weeks. And today we will have a morning together, a 3-hour session with two main blocks. The first block will be devoted to share and discuss a little about the so-called exceed principles. So the principles we have shared as a Center of Vocational Excellence when it comes to think about increase of readiness and responsiveness of that curricula. That is one of the challenges we are facing altogether in under the implementation of the Exceed project itself. The second block will be very, very interactive, and we will have a word cafe together. So be ready to be split in breakout rooms automatically and to work with your facilitators going through 4 main questions. As always, the session will be recorded and all the materials will be uploaded on the Exceed website main page devoted to the training program. For any need of technical support, for any questions, please do not hesitate to write your messages in the chat. So Irina and myself will be more than glad to support you anytime during the delivery of the session itself. The speakers of today are respectively Miss Rossella Brindani from CIS, Emilia-Romagna, one of our COVID coordinators, as you well know, and she's also the designer of the Exceed design principles together with the other partners of the Exceed platform. So we will start with her and the presentation of these principles we are going to use when we reflect on how to improve our existing curricula and when we think about how to innovate our brand new curricula under design. This is a very crucial topic, as you know, because in the project we are just right now in the phase of updating existing curricula and designing brand new higher VET curricula, EQF 4 and 5 respectively. After Rossella, we will have Professor Gaia Del Negro, independent researcher, and she is an expert in adult education. And I asked her to, let's say, share some hints to improve curricula, to think about how to design training programs according to this continuous professional development perspective, lifelong learning perspective. And we will discuss together in the Word Cafe and also, let's say, in some plenary session before and after the Word Cafe itself. So please, I will give the floor to the speakers of today. I will start with Rossella. Please, Rossella, the floor is yours. Thank you very much to our speakers and to all the participants to join in the session. Rossella, the floor is yours. Feel free to introduce yourself and also, let's say, to share with us your hints regarding why we should apply in our design phases the Exceed principles. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Elena. So I will start with sharing my presentation first. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Perfect.
You can put it in presentation mode, Rossella, if you prefer, so we can see a bigger picture.
Better?
Yes, perfect.
Perfect. So, good morning, everyone. My presentation aims to explore how design principles support the development of curricula at different levels. As you know, curricula development and design principles are deeply interconnected because design principles provide the foundation for creating structured, effective, and relevant programs. Curriculum development refers to the process of design, implementing, and evaluating learning experience. So, what is the difference? Design principles offer the theoretical and methodological guidelines that shape the process of development of curricula. In essence, design principles act as a roadmap for curriculum development with the aim to define a core set of value and elements that underpin all curricula and programs development foreseen in EXIPO project. So what do? They indicate desirable direction of innovation. And as you know, EXIT project is a very ambitious project and play a very important role in guiding the design and redesign of the training offers that on which we are working in EXIT project. That is to say, training offers at level EQF4, EQF5, and modular learning path for low-skill adults. We should also take into consideration that one of the main goals of EXIT project is to create a T-shaped T-shaped professionals. So who are T-shaped professionals? T-shaped professionals, T-shaped employees excel in their core responsibilities and also perform other tasks in a very effective way. So they are professionals with high technical, green and digital skills, because I remind you that the EXIT project has a specific focus on digital eco-innovation in the context of advanced manufacturing. And the green and digital skills are represented by the vertical bar, but also a wide range of transversal competencies, as for example, management skills, problem-solving skills, and social skills. So a person, and we think to our students and low-skill adults, to become a T-shaped professional, they need to develop both the vertical and the horizontal bars. But what have we done in order to identify the design principle within our Exceed project? We apply to a very simple methodology. First of all, we thought, okay, let's start in identifying, in joint identifying, because I was not alone. We worked all together. We had 2 workshops at the beginning of the project, and we thought that a key innovation element in Exceed, in order to identify the design principle, was to explore our target group. Then we have done it, and we contextualize our principle in relation to our target group. And our target group were students different in age, gender distribution, education level, and also coming from different social and economic backgrounds. We adopted a pillars approach, and so we will reflect on this pillar, and at the end we were able to define our design principle. Just a few words about our target group. The target group of EQF4 path, the age range typically from 16 to 19. They include recent secondary school graduate seeking for further education and career changes, and their aim was to enter, is to enter the workforce with a vocational qualification. And they come from different social and economic background. Male dominated fields in our exploring their characteristic. EQF level 5 are students usually aged 18 and above, and they most of them have completed EQF level 4 qualification, and they are seeking higher education, but not necessarily a bachelor degree. And they also come from different social and economic background. And what about the characteristic of low-skill adults and workers? Except Finland, many of low-skill adults have not completed the secondary school education. They are employed in low-skill jobs, and very, very often with the low levels of digital literacy. That, as you can imagine, impacts a lot on their employment. In Finland, they have a low number of low-skilled adults. Why? Thanks to a strong education system. Lucky them. They have good digital literacy level if we compare to other partner countries. what we found was that the issue of gender segregation is shared by all partners. And it is one of our priority it is one of our priority as it is a critical issue. So just, to contextualize our target groups. But now let's go to our pillars approach. What is this pillar approach? We adopted the pillars approach that is to say that we identify 5 pillars to support the definition of the design principle. Each pillar represents an area, and this area inform curriculum development, in which the design principles are detailed, taking, of course, into account the different target groups. So, as you can see, we have got 5 areas: competencies, macro methodologies, assessment and evaluation, pedagogy and didactics, and the international approach. We also combine all the pillars with a cross-cutting global approach. It means, this global approach? It means a global perspective with local adaptability. In this way, we can ensure that training offer meets and match regional economical needs, and in the same time equipping learners with cross-border employment skills. For Exceed project, the global approach is really a very important one. And if you reflect just for a while, the global approach influences the design, so the development of a curricula. So let's start from the first pillar / area, that is competencies. First of all, competencies will be developed embedding cross-cutting priorities such as inclusion and gender equality. Because I have just said that gender was a critical issue that we found during the exploration of our target group. And the same is inclusion. Students that have maybe many problems to attend our courses. So one of our priority is to support them in all the way we can do. In general, competencies will integrate in the phase of updating existing curricula or create the new one. We will integrate green skills and digital transformation competencies. And our design principle will guide the integration of transversal skills, so transversal competencies, such as, for example, teamwork, adaptability, critical thinking. And in this way, we will reinforce the holistic development of learners. I remind you that during my presentation, I will be a little bit general on pillar, but you will find in the report that is already available on the website a detailed description of each pillar. Speaking about macro methodologies, macro methodologies can be considered a roadmap for teachers because why? Because they help our teachers to align their teaching strategies and methodologies to learners. The macro methodology adopted refers in particular to a learning center approach of learners. So this is why we started from try to understand, okay, we will develop new programs, but who are our target group? So we refer to a learning center approach because we want to support and cultivate their motivation, expectation, and self-esteem, that they are really very, very important. If we have motivated students, and also when I speak about student, I also refer to adult low-skilled learners, we will obtain a good result. If we don't have motivation and if we don't explore their expectation, we can create beautiful and very interesting curricula, but with low result at the end. So the macro methodologies, of course, will be developed focusing on learning outcomes and not just content list. And they will be modular and when possible with the hybrid learning format. Why? Because it empowers a learner to shape their own education. We believe a lot on hybrid format. And the design principle will ensure that all curricula incorporate work-based learning and with a strong attention to industry partnership and real-world project. And we will also work on make companies aware of their role of learning factory, you know. So emphasis will be on experiential and project-based learning. And as I said, when it will be possible, the adoption of hybrid learning models. So models that combine in-person, online, and workplace-based training. What about pedagogy and didactics? Pedagogy will focus on the promotion and the implementation of interactive and immersive learning. Emphasis will be given on learner agency. What is learner agency? Learner agency refer to the feeling of ownership and sense of control that students have over their learning process. It's, I think, really very ambitious, but and it's very difficult, in my opinion, to instill the sense of learning agency. It's a challenge, but it's one of our priority. All partners, when we were in the phase of identifying the design principle, agreed that promoting experiential learning and critical thinking is a priority in teaching methods, but also integrate case studies, simulation, project-based learning, laboratory activities, and why not also some new experience of digital work-based learning. In relation to assessment and evaluation, and traditional curricula often rely on summative assessment. While exceed approaches will emphasize continuous, formative, and competence-based evaluation. Design principles also facilitate the integration of digital assessment tools, but also workplace-based assessment. When we speak about work-based learning and you interview a coordinator, very often they say, yes, of course, the company proceed in the evaluation and assessment of the students. But in my opinion, there is really a lot to do on it. In the improvement of the evaluation, the assessment, and also the evaluation of our students during their experience in a company. And regarding low-skill adults, we will adopt micro-credential. At the end, the international approach. Exceed is a European project. We have a European platform. We are 5 different organizations coming from Europe, and I believe, and we believe, that the international approach is essential. we have to cultivate it. And we will implement physical mobility for our learners, but we will also apply to formats that situate teaching and learning in virtual and collaborative settings, such as, for example, virtual exchange, collaborative online modes. And all the practice that can foster global networking among students, and also our goal is to support the development of intercultural competencies that we believe they are the base if we want to speak about international approach. I stop here, and I am here for answering to all your questions or doubts, or so to support you in better understanding.
Thank you very much, Rossella, for this overview of the Exceed design principles. Of course, we are trying to apply, to ground them in our daily activities as web providers, education providers in general, as professionals in our daily activity when it comes to think or read or rethink about training programs, curricula at a different level, and also in the design phase we are facing during this period for the development of the brand new curricula we are jointly designing through dedicated working groups. So for any detail, as Rossella said, the deliverable, so the detailed Exceed design principles are available for anyone interested with free download from the Exceed website. So I kindly invite you, I suggest you to explore the deliverable as a whole. All these materials will be uploaded on the web page dedicated to the training program. So you will have all the opportunities to go in depth and, let's say, try to test and apply also in your professional context, these Exceed principles. Thank you very much once again, Rossella. If you have any question, please use the chat. And I would like to give the floor now to our second keynote speaker of today, Professor Gaia Del Negro. She is an expert, as I said at the very beginning, in adult education, and we will have the chance together to have a word cafe reflecting on how to improve our teaching activity, our curricula design processes when it comes to focus on continuous professional development of our target groups, as Rossella mentioned many times and very clearly. So, Professor Gaia Del Negro, please, the floor is yours. I kindly ask you to introduce yourself, just to share with participants your expertise, your experience also abroad, and we are, let's say, at your disposal to start together any interaction within the Word Cafe. Please.
Thank you very much, everyone, and particularly Elena for inviting me to join this very exciting program, and Rossella for your presentation, which I think is a wonderful basis then to know where I am going now to focus my presentation. I am based in Milan. I am a researcher and applied researcher. So after a PhD in adult education in the UK, I kept my international network. So I very much appreciate and your international view of learning, which is very, very important and nurtured me for many years. But I am back in Milan, where I work as also a consultant. So I work between higher education institutions and networks and social work, educational work around Italy, both in evaluation activity and in training and support of learning processes of different kinds of organizations. So this is briefly about me, then maybe we can get to know more about each other. I will share my presentation, and the idea of today is to offer some ideas that I think may be of an interest to you. You are all very expert, more than me in your sector, so I'm going to learn from you. But I want to give you some hints, starting from my experience, and then from this basis of shared understanding, go into a discussion, because I learned and I believe very much in participatory approaches to learning. So again, I appreciate and value each person expertise as adults. So we are going to practice this today with you. We are all adults with a lot of experience and technical expertise, and we will share ideas and then come to learn together some concluding thoughts for today and then launch for the next session. Okay, so I'm going to share now my presentation and see if this works. Okay, let me see. Can you see this?
Yes, yes, it's working. You can
Wonderful.
share in presentation mode, so everything is fine. Thank you very much.
Okay, wonderful. Voila. So the title of the presentation of today is Designing Training Programs According to a Continuous Professional Development Perspective, which is what I bring as my own viewpoint. I thought to go through 3 phases of discussion, of discussing points for you to set a basis. It's these 3. So first, a little overview of professional development in a lifelong learning perspective, then some selected key concepts of an adult learning perspective, and finally we go towards how to teach adults some ideas. Starting from the first, I picked this image, which, as you can see, is a maze, a labyrinth. I like the idea of, I like also to use images to teach. So to me, this image evokes, people trying to find their path and not knowing exactly where they will go. So it's people walking in the same space, but in different points, and trying to reach a direction, to find a way forward. But I don't know what this will evoke for you. The kind of wide context reading which I propose to you, there could be many others, but I appreciate this reading of some sociologists who talk about reflexive modernity. Again, I apologize if anything of this is already known to you, but let's see if we can share some premises together. So reflexive modernity idea brings together a picture of this labyrinth. So there is, as we know, a loosening of bonds of social milieu. The big narratives are gone, and there is, in this time we live in, an increase of social inequalities. In this context, patterns of orientation, so how to move in this complexity, have become actually more localized. So the strategies to move in this context relate more to generational, gender-based experience, to ethnic groups or perceptions of ethnicity and lifestyles. So there is a fragmentation of strategies of orientation. And this dramatic increase of options open, apparently open to everyone, and the fast-paced changes and ruptures make the life course, as we know, not very predictable. So the life course is not linear anymore. In this context, again, there is an individualization of paths, a compulsion, a pressure to make decisions and perform choices of orientation on individuals. So this is why reflexivity, so a reflexivity capacity is required. There is then, in summary, a need for flexibility, flexible structure of competence to be developed not once and for all, but continuously, so within lifelong learning processes. What does this mean for professionals? I very much like this image, which is a systemic image of nature and of circularity and the spiraling process. A spiral continues to develop with the same structure and grows. This is a metaphor useful to understand the lifelong learning implied in the management of choices of professional development. So professionals continuously grow, develop, and need to learn how to compose professions' own value base and more subjective ways of knowing. So this can be a struggle. There can be forces in the workplace and in the market which make pressures of time, of accountability, also in terms of bureaucracy. As we know, for example, universities have become much more bureaucratic nowadays. So how to compose pressures, external values and limits with own values and limits and desires. So there is an interplay of social structure, individual agency. As Rossella was mentioning before, I think this may also develop a bit her idea of the challenging of agency. So professional socialization, so growing into the profession, and professional and personal growth. So growing as a person within that value base and knowledge base of the profession. So both formal and informal learning processes are at stake. How to teach adults? So what the learning is coming from has been theorized andragogy, so the pedagogy of adults. As I'm sure you know, adult learning has been the study of this discipline for many, many years, which generated different variety of theories and pedagogical practices, some of which you mentioned already today. So adults are not school age people. They have more experience behind them. They have more past. They have more lived life behind them. So lived over time, but also experienced in a variety of contexts, because they have lived different parts of their lives in different contexts. This means that the adult learners we meet, you meet, have accumulated complex assumptions. So they are not blank pages. They have complex assumptions about the meanings they attach to new experience. They come with their own understandings. And in the present time, they live multiple social roles, multiple social accountabilities, responsibilities, both personal and professional. And they are motivated to learn, looking to their own future, both in terms of improvement and even just survival, because sometimes life is tough. Some ideas, there are many theories of adult learning out there, so I cannot go through all of them. I picked some ideas which I find interesting, maybe also thinking of your own target. Some ideas come from Dewey, so from pragmatism, American pragmatism, that adults learn through meaningful experiences, which help them to unlearn in order to learn something new. From Freire, so from critical pedagogy itself, Brazilian experience of empowering the working class, processes of conscientization, so learning about the history also, to put in a historical context the knowledge that you acquire, reflecting from their own experience, make adults more free to act, so more aware, more conscious about their position in society. Medzirov idea of transformative learning, again, a very popular theory, in a super summary, has to do with producing dilemmas. So disorienting dilemmas make people look for new ideas. Putting in front of a question with no answer can elicit debate and move towards the search for new hypotheses. All this to say that there are, of course, cognitive processes, technical skills, but also these are intertwined with social, relational, and imaginative processes that in fact require the transversal skills Rossella was mentioning before. Okay, so again, from this wider perspective, I thought to offer you some key concept for an adult learning perspective, really starting from my own interest and work. So this is why I'm here. So I can only bring in a short time personal reflections on adult learning perspective. So I hope you will enjoy these key concepts. The first one, which I find a very stimulating idea, comes from an adult learning expert in Germany, Peter Allheit, very famous and respected professor in adult learning and biographical learning studies. He devised this idea of biographicity. The idea has to do with the capacity of adults to design and redesign over and over again the contours, the shape of our life within the specific context in which we have to spend our lives. So within not, of course, free and totally unbound contexts, but within very bound contexts, which we sometimes cannot really choose. We can choose and redesign how to make our bread, as is the image I shared with you here. Of course, we need to think that the concepts, the contexts, sorry, are in part, at least, shapeable and designable. In some part, they can be shaped by our action. So we need to change our own path to interact better with the contexts. To do so, we need to decipher surplus meanings of our biographical knowledge. So we need to learn about how to walk in the maze, what is happening in our lives. This kind of biographical learning from our lives, is not only happening within our heads, it's not a totally individual process, but depend on communication and interaction with others. We learn with others. So learning is embedded in life worlds, in life contexts, under conditions of specific environments that make learning more or less possible, or give learning certain characteristics or others. The second, so from this biographical viewpoint, descend a bit the question of what knowledge. I was drawn from the maze at the start to look for some images from the film Labyrinth, and I liked this image. So to me, it evokes really the maze of amazement of things we don't really understand, that can be mysterious, that attract us or scare us. So what kinds of knowledge are we talking about to make our own life choices? Here I draw on some theorists, which I think give us interesting hints about adult learning and adult learning knowledge, what knowledge is needed. Bernard Chalot, a sociologist of learning, so education sociology of education, proposed a study in the late 90s about the acquisition of knowledge in schools, which I think can be adapted to adult learning perspective. So he was studying what relationship with knowledge students develop. Learning makes sense with reference to the history of the subject. So it's not independent from the person. It needs to be related with the expectations, points of reference, conceptions of life, relationships with others, the image, the self-imagination. The concept is the relationship with knowing. So as adult educators, we need to think about how our students relate to the knowledge we offer them. In this sense, there is a component of desire, of desires and fears of new knowledge that can shake our own assumptions and self-understandings. So there are affective dimensions, imaginative dimensions, and there are, let's say, three main areas that knowledge connects us to the world from. One is symbolic, of course, so we enter acquiring new disciplinary knowledge, we enter a new symbolic entry point to the world. We also enter a new material relationship because we can modify, interact with the materiality, the things in the world from that perspective, and a new perspective with time. So we understand ourselves in a timeline from that viewpoint of past, present, and how we imagine our future. A third person I want to introduce you to, maybe you know it very well again, but just to share some ideas together, is a psychoanalytic perspective. Donald Winnicott, psychoanalyst who studied children and their families, but also this concept is applied in adult education, the place where cultural experience, so we could say also disciplinary knowledge, why not? Cultural experience is located in a potential space between the person and the environment. What does this imply for us? That adult education spaces can be transitional spaces. So adult education, higher education can be a place of potential development for the person, a space of transition, potentiality, not knowing, where we can, yes, learn technical skills, but also manage and transcend the feelings of marginalization, meaninglessness, inauthenticity. We can go towards a more playful relationship with ourselves, with others. So this has to do also, why not, with empowerment ideas, but explains a bit better how to. So we can exit some stuck situations and find new ways forward, transitional, playful place. Another idea which comes from systemic understanding, systemic theories that are applied in adult education, has to do with imagination. This may be a bit of a more tricky word because sometimes we don't talk about imagination also in a more, let's say, traditional way of speaking about education, but there is a lot to do with the interaction of self and world in the way that action in the world changes the person and the world. So it's a second imperative, the aesthetic one. If you desire to learn how to act, systemics think that people are observing systems. So we observe, but we learn through action. And we are not separate from the world, as the famous drawing of Escher explains very well. And in this, there is also an ethical imperative. So we want our students to grow and to be curious and make new hypotheses. So to open their mind. We also, as educators, want to open our minds. So in this interaction, we want to devise new perspectives, new ways of doing, because there are always other ways of doing. So we can increase the number of choices. Imagination has to do with this, to imagine new solutions, new hypotheses, way forward to be tested, and to imagine ourselves differently, so that self and world can co-evolve. And finally, the last idea I want to offer you is this of connected knowing. This really comes from a gender understanding and gender critique of knowledge and of education. So Women Ways of Knowing was a study of a group of 4 feminist scholars, American, in the 1986, and they made a study about how women understood knowledge, because they, at the time, they realized that often studies were focused on male and white male, so that the other perspectives were a bit out of the picture. And they realized that there was a perspective of connected knowing. So knowing connected to the context, the relationship where that knowledge came from. So this idea of also celebrating connection, connected knowing, relationality, celebrates the interactions, the affective interactions, the friendships. Let's talk about this also in this term, no? The friendships, the love, some psychoanalysts would say, in which good knowledge can emerge. This raises issues of power. So who has the power? Because in relationship, knowledge is not neutral. Issues of power, of authority, who can say what, how this is negotiated, issues of voice, who can have a say, and mind, so of self-understanding. Knowledge is not disconnected, is connected to relationships and contexts. And this connected knowing maybe can be integrated to more impersonal procedures for establishing truth, which are also important. So the more scientific ideas of disciplines. So to not reduce knowledge to a scientific endeavor, the two things can be maybe integrated. So the hypothesis here is that integrated knowers can celebrate and can compose disciplinary and relational ways of knowing to their satisfaction and to produce better knowledge, explore new pockets of knowledge. Okay, so these were some ideas that I wanted to propose to you. Again, it's really from my own perspective and my own studies, because I studied the relationship to knowledge and professional self-construction. This was my thesis in my PhD, and it is one of the main themes I keep learning from and develop. But then we need to see how the teaching could happen. How to teach adults. This is a very good question. How to teach adults then, if this is a possible theoretical perspective, then the how to. I chose this image because to me it evoked the messiness of learning and of adult learning, especially when you have mixed groups with different ages, gender, educational backgrounds, social backgrounds, with more or less skilled adults. There is messiness. But one of my mentors in Italy, Laura Formenti, a pedagogist of family pedagogy and adult learning pedagogy, would say messiness is good. It's good because there is potentiality. When there is heterogeneity, there is more potential for learning. So the potential for finding new ideas is there. In this sense, only one hint I would like to give to you comes from this systemic and constructivist understanding of knowledge and of pedagogy, is that of déplacement, of displacement. So upsetting learners' systems of beliefs can lead them to reflect and change their courses of action and theories. So to change a viewpoint, you need to displace, upset what you think you know, then to observe what may be happening and change and make new hypotheses and ideas. Déplacement in adult learning needs a context, a good context of reflection, to make sense of confusion, to try to make hypotheses and make new sense of confusion. So this is my invitation to you as expert in curriculum design, in education, in adult education, starting from this and from your own ways of understanding adult learning and your own expertise and experience in teaching adults, in constructing and designing curriculum for that and upskilling and reskilling pathways for adults in advanced manufacturing is what context of reflection. So which ingredients would make a good context in your opinion? The invitation then is to participate in this Word Café. As you know, Word Café proposes an informal space for discussion to generate new ideas. We thought about these 4 questions that may be conducive to reflect from your own experience about how to develop these reflective contexts. The first is about the strengths. So what works in the current teaching practices and approaches in your organization? Then the weaknesses, what is improvable in the current teaching practices and approaches in your organization? Then another kind of entry point, which I called stories, because in biographical learning, there is a very clear understanding that people learn through storytelling, also in systemic view, people learn through stories. So tell a story about which beliefs and stereotypes may hinder learning. Rossella mentioned, the idea to work on, for example, gender segregation, but maybe there are also other inequalities, other discriminations that we keep producing without really noticing them. so gender, class, other also viewpoints. And finally, a question on creativity. So how could we better compose, for example, technical skills and personal social learning to learn competencies for sustaining professional growth? So if we want to innovate curricula in terms of an adult learning perspective and a continuous development, professional development perspective, maybe the final point of discussion can be what ideas do we have to compose different ways of knowing. Okay, I think I will stop here and close my presentation.
Thank you very much, Gaia, for this interesting presentation, very inspiring presentation. I think, personally, I think that between the suggested ideas and things, this concept of the transitional space is, let's say, very, very crucial, very important for us, because when it comes to entering relation with potential students or trainees, we often have to enter in relation with them during moments of transition in their life. So crucial choices, they have to take for their personal and professional development. Also because that education is, let's say, has the aim to bridge between personal and professional development. So this concept of transitional space is quite important, in my opinion, to take also into consideration, not only in the design phase of the training programs of the curricula, but also during delivery of this training we have designed. Once we have to directly enter in relation with the students, trainees, the different learning contexts. It, let's say, is for schools or for back centers. It's something really cross-cutting. But in that education is quite crucial because, yes, we have to, let's say, support choices from students coming often from schools, and they would, let's say, would like to know better what they can learn for their professional development in a very uncertain and unpredictable world, as you have said. So thank you very much for this inspiring concept. Just an information to all participants. And now there is the work on the Word Cafe. So we will split it in subgroups automatically from the platform. We will work in 4 groups. Every group will have a facilitator, so don't worry, you will be not alone in the rooms. And your facilitator will support you in discussing and collecting hints all together, sharing knowledge and expertise, let's say, very freely. It's a discussion. First of all, it's not an examination or nothing, then a discussion to share knowledge all together as a community of practice in this sense. So please feel free to open your micro and
I think we get lost, Elena, but maybe we can wait a couple of minutes.
I was saying that when it comes to be shared, to be split in these rooms, we will have time to answer to all 4 questions. And then we come back in plenary to socialize, to share again, to discuss with Gaia and the other colleagues. So, Irina, please split us in our rooms. Thank you very much for your support.
Okay, let's see if we can make a start. The idea now is that each room, so each facilitator of the room tries to summarize in a few minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes maximum, what was discussed in the room. I know it's a difficult task to summarize an hour discussion in just a few minutes, but I think there will be also an effect of accumulation, because then some ideas may be repeated and some not need to be repeated and some will be new. So we can have a bit of an overview of what we share as a whole group discussion. So I would go in the real order of the rooms, if you like, which make it simple. So if room 1 wants to start, and then we'll go with room 2.
Yes, of course. We were the group number 1. So I'm going to report as facilitator what we discuss, the main hints we collected together. So regarding question 1, strength, what works very well yet in our current teaching practices and approaches. We discussed about that, the applied international approach, the design and delivery of curricula, the involvement of international teachers and trainers in delivery is an added value and is something working very well. Also thinking about the students and trainees, because in this way they can improve their skills, also English skills. And this involvement of local, let's say, international stakeholders can provide a view to the course that is not only local, too much tied up to the regional dimension of the delivery itself. These allow also to increase the possibility for students to be able to find a job abroad, or in any case to be competitive in a globalized labor market. Another strength is the fact that on a yearly basis, or in any case periodically, all the training programs and curricula are updated and revised. This allows to make this curricula very close to the labor market evolution and the economic operators' demands, since premise companies, of course, present in the regional ecosystem. The adoption of flexibility measures in teaching in terms of, let's say, methodologies, first of all, is very useful to motivate students and also combine theory and practice. Also, for example, in the context of Fab Labs, laboratories, etc., will help students very much in their agency, using a concept we had repeated this morning many times. When it comes to internationalized learning processes, also the use of blended formats. So the fact that it's possible to count on the affordable platform for online teaching and training is very, very helpful. The possibility to work in small groups, not more than 20 people, is something very crucial, because students express the need to be listened, to be followed, to be supported. Regarding weaknesses, what is improvable, let's say, as vet providers working with public funds, we have called for proposals that define often strict requirements. This is something that can be a sort of barrier to open the accessibility of the courses, for example, for students coming from other countries. And this is a sort of contradiction when it comes to internationalize curricula on the other sides. Also, equipment is improvable. Technical and technological laboratories, equipment to be used for delivery of the different trainings. Also, from the teacher sides, often teachers are very expert on their subject, but are local or regional, let's say, not so able to speak English fluently, so to deliver teaching in an international context. Regarding stories, so which beliefs and stereotypes may hinder learning processes, For example, we underline that at societal level, at community level, often universities still considered the best choices from families. Parents influence choices of, let's say, children, and this is a problem, and not in all countries at the same stage, but it's felt in all countries represented in the group. There is a question of lack of information regarding the overall panel of choices that youngsters can, or young adults can have available to decide about their personal and professional development. And often the problem that students, in our opinion, or in the opinion of some of the participants to the group, students are asked to make a choice, a very crucial choice, too early, when they are too young, let's say. Fourth question, creativity. How could we better compose technical skills and personal social learning to learn competencies, so also transversal competencies for sustained professional growth? Some ideas can be to increase in delivery the use of online tools, not so used so far. Increase the focus on digital skills, not only regarding basic tools, but also more advanced tools that can also facilitate cooperation, sharing, labor in international groups. Exploit the skills and competencies of young teachers, because they often are digital natives, or anyway, they are very much updated on also technical and technological, in the technical and technological sphere when it comes to think about advanced manufacturing courses, for example. And another, let's say, element that can be helpful in order to be creative, in order to improve the overall responsiveness of this training for adults, might be also to organize roundtables with companies, with stakeholders, to think about innovative approaches. Another aspect, the last one before closing the reporting, to be creative, let's say, also an important stuff is to invite students to think about, to improve their innovation skills, creative thinking. So, for example, one of my members said that he invites students to think how to innovate, to change things they face in their everyday life. Of course, with reference of manufacturing field, machinery, tools, mechanic stuff, let's say, to innovate things in order to improve their performances, their usability for final targets, etc. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you, Elena. Thanks a lot. Okay, so I will go with group 2. Question 1, the strengths. Something which you are happy about, the group was happy about, was the capacity to teach practical knowledge through workshops and manual work. So students are happy when they can learn something practical with their own hands. In particular, it's considered best when they can actually mix theory and practice. So they can experiment what they are told, starting from how they present themselves, and then working groups helps them understand the topics better. There are also another important component is the relationship with industry. So go to visit industries can make the students learn new technology and explore the innovation in material objects that are created. So both these and the previous one are important aspects you are happy about. And the feedback is of the students who give positive and require more experience of this kind, and also teachers. we also added another element that teachers appreciate working with somebody else, a person from outside the classroom, who can teach them something new. Not all teachers are this open, but when they are, teachers become students. And this dynamic makes teachers innovate their own knowledge because they are not working in the field. And students see teachers as students themselves. So in a perspective of lifelong learning can make students feel more comfortable. They are less anxious to perform well and more curious to learn lifelong. Okay, so this has to do with different ways that different places combine industry and school teaching, but this was an element we reflected about. In terms of weaknesses, so what is improvable in your current teaching practices and approaches? One topic was about the organization of the time of the teaching. So the schedule can be sometimes too strict. It's not flexible, and students need to do an amount of hours in the same kind of distribution in the day, which makes it difficult for workers, for example. So working students, they are in a difficult situation. It's less easy to combine having a work experience and an educational experience. This was one extreme, so strict organization. To the other extreme, also too flexible organization can cause difficulties when each student, when each teacher is totally free to organize their own teaching as they want. Some are more strict, some are flexible, have different approaches, some give more homework, some less. So students can become a bit disoriented by this approach, so they need some support. We talked about the importance of peer learning, about the social learning that happens among students. So how to build a context of people, of motivated students, how to promote that kind of context, how to make it possible, and we'll come to this later. Then we talked about more traditional teaching styles, more frontal teaching, which is more common in Italy, for example, particularly in the university. So there is no group discussion, which was appreciated in the activity we did. The gap between teaching and market. In group 1, you said that courses are very updated. Yes, here we were saying in room 2 that the gap between teaching and market is a conundrum, is difficult to solve. So teaching is always a bit behind, and the question is how to see into the future. Question of the age of teachers we also talked about. So maybe new teachers may have new ideas, or we need also to introduce new modalities, like introducing objects like engines, parts of machines in the classroom, so innovate pedagogy. Stories. We shared some stories about stereotypes that may hinder learning. Particularly, we focused on gender. And one story was from Barcelona, to invite the girl students in a vocational school to visit primary school students, and particularly speaking to girl primary school students, to tell them why these girls choose and the path of a vocational school, the difficulties and what they like. And then the young primary school girls and parents come to do workshops in the vocational school, and this breaks stereotypes. And the vocational school girls are very proud to do this. So they are reinforced, they are empowered. And this can also go to social media narrative, to change the narrative of vocational schools. So collaboration between schools and the labs brings new understanding. And sometimes even teaching technology skills, like they do in Finland, brings new understanding, a new understanding of what this is about, but also makes shy students recognized and feel they have an opportunity out there to follow their own interest. We talked about different places where there is more or less gender gap that we know. And we talked also about those students in the last line in the class, how to involve them. So how to make other voices be heard. Yes, this is it. And final question, creativity. Some ideas shared. One is of mobility. So go on with mobility of students and teachers. Can be started online, can be about sharing a project in collaboration, creating something new with an international team, and then make the project real and visit also another country. So can be a touch of reality, can be difficult, but generative. Other ideas are of gamification as a tool for playful competition, so to make it fun and moving motivation to challenge their own limits and push into their best for the students. The idea to keep involving companies where people work. Sometimes it can be also a cost for the company, so it needs to be negotiated. But it's very good that the students learn from new and different working environments, big or small, startup or big companies, because the style of work is different. In this sense, one idea was to associate many different companies to many small groups in the classroom, so that the companies present challenges and students help the company solve the challenge. This was done in Italy and it worked very well, and they want to do it again. And finally, an idea to help the students reflect on their own experience, maybe using diaries, also with different formats, with writing, photos, and so on, to discuss and think about their own experience. Next, room 3.
Stella, please.
Or if room 4 wants to go.
Maybe I can go, the room 4, and then we
Yes.
can catch up with room 3. So I will try to be very short because a lot of things were already said in the previous, and I must confess that our participants are also sharing the same or similar thoughts about the different points and different questions. So relating to relating to the first question, I must confess that firstly, our group was quite diverse. We have the trainers that are mainly working with the youngsters, so Q4, but we also had some trainers that are working a lot with the adult education and with the training to the adults. So in particular, in Spanish context, they shared the best practice regarding the accreditation of the prior knowledges of the adults. And in this way, they have a specific scheme supported by the regional authorities through which they can accredit assess the prior knowledge and then personalize and tailorize the modular training offered to the actual needs of the adults. From the Czech Republic, there was the balanced approach toward the training. So the combination of the technical, theoretical, and practical skills as one of the practices that they apply in the daily life. The same was highlighted also by Finland because they have very good connection with the local ecosystems and also with the big companies that are operating in the local context that allow them to involve speakers, testimonials, and also involve students into the trainings within the company, and also share the best practices and of the company, stimulating them to continue with their training path. In majority of the cases, the training path that our trainer are teaching are very technical. So we are talking about the training path like mechanical engineering or car mechanical repair. So these training path should be very connected to the it should be stimulated by the participation in company visits. As regarding the areas of the improvement, there were not so many weaknesses highlighted, but maybe some more personalized training of the youngsters might be useful in case of the training with the youngster, because it's very difficult to assess their knowledges and tailor the training pathways within the school and very fixed curricula. As regarding the stereotypes, there was an issue arise regarding the mixed age classroom. So in case where we have a classroom, we have youngsters and also adults, there is a huge importance on the sharing of the best practices, specifically from the point of view of the adults, and not only best, but also bad practices in order to that might support youngsters to learn based on the mistakes that already were made by experienced workers. And there is also, regarding the stereotypes, the issue with gender, because, for example, in Czech Republic context, in one classroom, there was 25 students, out of which only 3 females. This training was connected to the car repairing, and very often this job is connected to the topics like very dirty job or job connected with the very dirty environments, etc., etc. So the more dissemination and advertisement toward the involvement of female students might be made from the side of the schools. And regarding the creativity, very often in the context at least of these schools and training providers, a lot of students are very motivated and self-aware, because very often their selection of their training path is connected to their hobbies. So since it's connected to something what they do also during their free time, they are very self-aware and motivated toward the learning, and in this way they are also more stimulated. That's all from myself.
Wonderful. Thanks a lot. I don't know if room 3 is available. If not, we will share later these ideas, or if somebody was in room 3 and they have something to say, they can say it now. Otherwise, I will go for the final moment of today. First of all, thanks all of you for the very meaningful contributions. The idea of how to work now is to do an asynchronous activity. So I would like to launch this activity between now and the next session I will be still doing with you. So as we also said that this is an important way of working to develop a project as adults, we can try it on ourselves, and we are a group of mixed professionals from different backgrounds and realities. The idea I will share now. I don't know, it's not working. Okay, I don't know. I will say it without sharing because it's not giving me the opportunity to share.
I can share your slides if you want.
Please.
I have it
Yeah,
here.
thank you.
Could you please kindly tell me the number of the slides so we'll go there?
Yeah. It's slide 26. Thank you, Irina.
So give me a second.
Is the one about the project work. Lovely, thank you. And then I will go back to the other two ones. So the idea is to draw on the discussion we had today and to group as you like in groups of minimum 4 people from the same country, because we thought it would be just easier to self-organize, and also because you can draw and localize more this exercise in your realities. So less abstract and more concrete. To try to meet as you like or self-organize as you feel is comfortable to you, to design a new course of study in simple lines, of course. So you don't need to go into very much detail, but to construct a new course with its own target audience, principles, objectives, and the teaching and organizational methods you would like to use. And if there is any supporting device you think could help and be inserted in the course. This will have a time frame. So the deadline is the 31st of March to send your own ideas, so that I can read them, and then we can meet again together on the 3rd of April in the phase 2, where we will discuss and learn from the ideas that were produced from this exercise. Because as we said, when we apply, we see new aspects and new things. If Irina, you can go up just 2 slides of the presentation. I just wanted to offer a couple of ideas that are very peripheral, but I just will offer them as possible other tools that can be used. I don't know if Irina can do this. The first one is for social mapping, number 22. Yeah. The sociogram, of course, you know it. It's even in the logo of your project. So it's a tool to map relationships between subjects or between industries and so on. I thought it could be something, I don't know if you use it already, but something to help students reflect on their own location, their own positionality within their territory, the resources they can access to, from the closer, what is closest to them, what persons can have an influence for them, that can help them, who they know, and going towards more external areas, so further from themselves, what is out there. So it can help them, I think, to reflect as professionals within a field. And the field has both personal relationships, as we know. We all know about networking, so what is already close to them, and what may be further out, but still in reach. Thank you, wonderful. Okay, so social mapping, Moreno idea. This is one kind of tool, and I suggest the one with circles to center the student, but then it can be also other kinds of web of mapping, of social mapping, to visualize the field. And then the next slide will be my last suggestion of a tool. This comes more from systemic theory, and systemic theory applied to even counseling or reflective processes. It's a visual tool, which I like very much. Visual tools can be complementary to other kinds of more cognitive tools and languages. It's the Blason or family coat of arms, very known in Italy and also other countries, of course, with a tradition of important local powerful families. It's a kind of symbolic identity card. So it helps reflect on their own self, on how they construct themselves as, for example, professionals in certain fields. And there are areas that can be filled, so they can start from first right, so drawing their own symbol of themselves or their team, or what they are doing, or their project. And they can tell about their own past. So what the story, so tell a story, something that happened, a character, a mentor, or an event that characterized their own history as professionals, or as young forming professionals, or of their own organization. It can go to the present, so what they see as allies and resources of different kind, what they write there. Can be material, spiritual, human characteristics that are resourceful. And finally, the future, visions of the future. So what professional project they want to pursue, what mission as an organization member they want to pursue. And last but not least, the motto. So on top, in the top part, you can write your own motto or the team motto that identify the direction of the future. So it's different tools that are used in terms of supporting reflexivity in different settings with adult education. These ones more, diciamo, more visual, like the blason, are floating objects as defined by these psychoanalysts, in the sense that help imagine, become imaginative and reflective. I don't know. Thank you, Irina. You can close this one. I don't know if this can be used or not. I just wanted to offer some ideas of possible methodologies and tools to use for your project work. So I know there are different levels. You are asked to do a higher level task, so to design a curriculum. Maybe within the curriculum, there could be a part about methodologies, and we shared many ideas today, many good ideas today, and I had just added 2 ideas from my own practice, which I use in different contexts with projects developed in mixed groups and with students in higher education. That's all from me. Thanks a lot for this opportunity. Elena, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Gaia, for all these insights and, let's say, inspirations for our work. I think we can say that we will share a follow-up email to all participants with all instructions, let's say, for managing if we want the project work, so the asynchronous activity. Gaia has presented us right now. We will share the slides. We will share the instructions. We remember the timing. We will have time up to the end of the month to create our groups, local groups, and also, let's say, to carry out the work. Of course, let's say, as specified, we are not asking you to design a curriculum in detail, but just, let's say, to fix some main points regarding the topics, the elements of the curriculum focused on the slide. So we will share with you all the information in order to be able to manage and self-manage the next phase of the work at distance. We will meet Gaia again during the next online session foreseen on the 3rd of April. And we will, let's say, further discuss, and also we will receive some recommendations for our future, let's say, future application of these hints we have started to collect it today. So no worries, we will share everything after the session of today through the follow-up email. And please remember also to evaluate the session, because as always, after the session, we will share the questionnaire for our quality assurance plan. So remember to take 2 or 3 minutes to answer the questionnaire because it will be very valuable and helpful also for receiving your feedback regarding this upskilling training for professionals we are delivering for the first time under the framework of the Exceed project. Okay, Rosella, please, your hand is raised. You are muted, Rosella. Your micro is off.
Sorry, I want to say that I apologize, but I couldn't see anything and I couldn't communicate and I even couldn't hear anything. So I imagine that you have already shared the result of the rooms. If you are still available, I can share the result of our group.
Yes, we have still some minutes. Rosella, if you would like to share.
Yeah, because
thank you, Rosella.
Thank you very much. So regarding the first question, the strength, what works in your organization, the participant said that they adopt hybrid formats and courses. So in this way, courses are delivered online during the week and in presence on the weekend. And in other contexts, for example, in Greece, courses are always delivered in a hybrid format with the support of digital tool to engage participants. Regarding the second question, participants underline the needs of professional development of teachers and trainers due to the lack of some of them of digital competencies. The third point, beliefs and stereotype. The first story is related to cultural barriers. That means that in the context of an Italian course, an Italian language course for Egyptian and Nigerians people, Egyptian don't know the ways Nigerians speak loudly and were intolerant and complained because it caused disturbance. So this was a cultural barriers. And the second regards gender. A gender issue within a PLC course. A woman refused to attend the course because she was the only one among 15 men. And last one, how to innovate, integrate. It was suggested to integrate collaboration, sharing, and teamwork when teaching technical competencies, as in this way the transversal ones support the development of the technical competencies. And the second suggestion was to take action before the starting of the course. That is to say, create groups of the same level and expertise. In this way, it becomes easier to teach technical competencies through the use of transversal ones.
Wonderful. Thanks a lot. Very precious. Thank you, Rosella.
Welcome. And apologize again, but
no problem. Yes, you have technical issues, but no problem. It's one of the, let's say, the critical issues of the online training. In any case, thank you very much. I can think we can stop here the session of today. We will send you a wrap-up, follow-up email with all information, all links, all supporting materials, also for the work at distance. So no worries. By the day, we will send you everything, and we will meet online again on the 3rd of April. During the project work, the project-based work at distance, Gaia will be at your disposal in case of any need of clarification, support. So in the follow-up email, we will share, if we may, Gaia, but I think so, your email for any contact during the working period, localization working period, let's say. So it's all for today. Thank you very much for your participation. Thank you, Gaia and Rossella, for your presentations. And let's say we will meet again beginning of April. Thank you very much and have a good day ahead. Bye.
Thank you, and
Thank you, bye.
apologize.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.